Apple's new MacBook is here, but the big question is, can you live with only one port? I'm Dan Ackerman, and this is the new 12-inch MacBook from Apple. It's their first new laptop design in a long time. It's not the Air line, it's not the Pro line, it's just the MacBook, kind of like those original black and white polycarbonate MacBooks that everybody loved from the mid-2000s. This is the smallest laptop that Apple makes. It's got a 12.5-inch Retina display. It is very thin and very light. It is just a hair over 2 pounds, and unlike a lot of the other MacBooks which use Intel's Core i5 or Core i7 CPUs, this uses Intel's new Core M processor, and that's very important because that processor is designed for laptops that are very thin, very light, and that can run very efficiently without even fans. This is a fanless design. We've seen that in a few of the Core M systems. This guy is not going to be as quick as a standard Core i5 MacBook Air or Pro, although in everyday use it still felt fine, especially if you stick to apps that are very optimized for the OS X experience like Safari. And battery-wise, it ran for about 11 hours on our video test, which is a lot better than the other Core M systems that we've tested, but nowhere near what you'd get with a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. Those are still the longest lasting laptops that we've ever used. In order to get this new MacBook down to a size this small, they've had to change a bunch of things. The keyboard has been redesigned. It's now a very flat keyboard. It's very shallow. However, the key faces are wider and they don't wiggle because of the way the keys are constructed, so it's actually very stable. And I found, even though the keys were a little on the shallow side, I actually like typing on it a lot. The trackpad is another big change. It looks and feels the same, however, it doesn't click down. It uses a little bit of force feedback to trick your finger into thinking you're clicking down on the button, and you can actually do a deeper click. Again, it's not a real click, it just feels like it. That gives you some contextual information like looking up Wikipedia entries on words or a map location if you click on an address. Now, the biggest thing you're going to have to get used to in using this new MacBook is the fact that there are no regular sized USB ports, there's no video out, there's no Ethernet jack, there's no SD card slot. It has been boiled down to a single port, and that port is right here. It is USB-C, and this is one of the first laptops that we're seeing this in. It's a new version of USB. You can do accessories through here, you can do adapters, you can do video output, you can also do power, which means that if you have it plugged in and charging and you want to plug in, let's say, a USB key or a USB dongle for a mouse, you've got to unplug that, get your adapter, plug it in here, and then plug in your accessory. You can't do both at the same time unless you have some sort of external docking station or connection block. And of course, Apple will be more than happy to sell you one of those for about $80 or about $20 for a standard USB-C to traditional USB plug and a short cable that's kind of like this. There's actually one other sneaky port on there. They have not managed yet to get rid of the headphone jack. It's a bit on the expensive side. It starts at $12.99, but that gets you 8 gigs of RAM and a big 256 gig solid-state hard drive. It's really flash memory that's just sort of built into the motherboard. It's not a removable hard drive, and that's because the actual motherboard is very tiny. The entire interior of this is pretty much all battery, and that gets you up to about that 10 or 11 hours, which should be enough to at least get you through a day or two without recharging. I'm Dan Ackerman, and that is Apple's new 12-inch MacBook.